So all too often we are hearing from modern day older women that they are regretting their life choices. You guys have seen the many divorce regret videos from older women, and it's an ongoing pandemic, in my opinion. Epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, unlike previous generations where the older women would give younger women, good advice, now, for whatever reason, they've become too narcissistic and self-involved that they see themselves as in competition with younger women, so they just constantly give out the same bad advice. Well, today's video, we are going to be watching a video titled "Feminism Ruined My Love Life" from the perspective of an older woman. Hey, it's Christine Grace. Welcome back to my channel. Today is another reaction video. Like the video on your way in. Let's get straight into it. So today we are reacting to another Akkad Daily video. I thoroughly enjoy this guy. I'm still yet to find out his name and I feel really bad. I'm sure it's not Akkad, but anyway, I really enjoy his perspectives. He's also British. It's not often that I get videos sent into me of other British people. So yeah, I know like people think Americans and British people are very similar, but we're not. We're just not. It's different kind of humor. I feel like British people are a lot more sarcastic, maybe. But besides the point, I'm excited for this one. Let's get into it together.
I have for you a story of feminist regret that is so perfect, you're going to think I'm making it up. It has everything. Absolutely everything. That the ridiculous men were saying would come about to women as they got older, and it is all contained in this. And honestly, I mean, it's so perfect. I'm wondering if I'm being pranked. But this is in the iPaper, this, left-wing rag, obviously. And this is Kate Mulvaney. And she explains to us the course and trajectory of her life and how exactly she ended up alone. And in her mind, it was because she belittled men. She says,
well, that is very honest and self-aware, isn't it?
At 63, I've ended up alone. I'd always imagined I would end up married with 2 wonderful children and living in a house in the countryside. I've paid a hefty price for my so-called liberation. Right. So feminism entirely was wrong about what you wanted out of your life. I mean, if you'd always imagined that you'd end up married with 2 children and living in a house in the countryside with your husband, what about that is feminist? Like, that seems to be the very opposite of feminism, doesn't it? It seems to be the very opposite of what feminism was promising, which you add at the end is liberation. So, I mean, all I'm saying is, shouldn't you be angry at the people who sold you down the river on this? And I like the fact that you're warning younger women. By the way, this will be you. This will be your future if you follow the trajectory I've followed. She gives a really interesting story. Really interesting. A few years ago, she's on holiday with a then boyfriend in Italy, and she speaks Italian. She did French and Italian for her higher education. And so she sat there talking to the waiter in Italian, while her boyfriend, who obviously doesn't speak Italian, is just sat there being bored. And back in the hotel room, he asked why I had ignored him. By speaking in a language he didn't understand, he said I had managed to make him feel small. I could see his point. I spent quite a while chatting away, oblivious to how he must be feeling. Then I went on to joke that as the Italian speaker I would order for us. After all, he didn't know what osso buco meant. I was showing off. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened to me. I've always taken the driving seat, been determined to get the last word, and was too busy with books to master the art of charm. I'm convinced that the reason I'm still booking a table for one at the age of 63, instead of having settled with a significant other, is because, like so many women of my generation, feminism has ruined my love life.
Yep.
We told you so. I don't want to be mean about this. I don't want to rub it in, right? This person is having a moment, an epiphany, where they realize, oh wait, I was lied to my whole life, and it made me into the...
And to realize it at 63? I mean, like, we can laugh about it, haha, like, it's funny, whatever, but to realize at 63 that your whole life has been a lie, and that you are now in a place where there's no coming back from this. This is your reality now. That's awful. That's really awful. And it's, you know, she's a victim of feminism at the end of the day. I mean, you could argue, you know, did she make the decision herself or was she influenced? Beside the point. To come to that realization when you're 63 that my life is nothing like I wanted it to be. It's very sad. It's very sad. It makes me extremely grateful that I have had the realizations that I've had so young, you know, and that I've been fortunate enough to be around people and in a family where I've seen, you know, successful relationships. And yeah, I've not seen crazy feminist stuff until I went to college. Yeah, it makes me really, really grateful because it's not, I can't imagine being in this position. I dread being in this position. I dread getting to a certain age where, you know, I look back and I say, why am I not where I want to be? I dread that. That's my worst fear.
Kind of person was actually really unpleasant, and I really regret becoming that unpleasant person. And so feminism has ruined my love life. Feminism denied her the husband she wanted, the children she wanted, the grandchildren she wanted. Feminism did this to her. And again, like, this is just so word for word perfect. Like, this is the sort of thing you'd expect to see, like, you know, a manosphere guy write on Reddit, that posing as as an old woman, saying, yeah, feminism ruined my love life because they want to attack feminism. But this is not the case. This is an established feminist author. She's had a successful career as a writer and broadcaster, but regrets never having children or being married. Well, because feminism ruined your love life. Because literally, that thing that you took on as a religion has ruined your life. Instead of empowering us, those ideals of the second wave feminists made us believe that marriage and domesticity were to be avoided like the plague, and that men were competition rather than partners. Wow, this sounds like an MRA wrote it, like in 2014. And this is crazy, how just open she is about how this has been bad for people. I might have a successful career as a writer or a broadcaster, but I've never had children or been married, and my longest relationship lasted 8 years. I regret this. I always imagined... I regret this. I had always imagined that I would end up married with 2 wonderful children living in a house in the countryside. I have paid a hefty price for my so-called liberation. And then she tells us how this all came about. And when you think about it, why were we permitting this? Why were we permitting this ideology to be pumped into the soft heads of teenagers, as Yuri Bezmenov would say? And she literally tells us, at 17, I was a pupil at Godolphin and Latimer, one of Britain's most academic institutions, when I was introduced to the women's liberation movement. It offered such hope and excitement. We spent our lunch breaks soaking up the feminist mantras of Germaine Greer and Betty Friedan. Act like men, they cried as they burnt their bras and demonized housework in the family. Well, men don't demonize housework in the family. Men, especially not the family. I mean, I don't enjoy doing housework. I don't do all that much housework, thank goodness. But that's because I'm the breadwinner for my family, and my wife doesn't have to have a job. And so the housework is done by her mostly. I do some, obviously, when something needs doing or whatever. But the family is a cooperative unit.
Yep.
Like, why would you demonize the best thing that you'll have in your life?
Feminism, to me, is the biggest mirror that's been held up to female nature in all of human history. Because the mantras of feminism taught women to act like men. So what women did was act like what they thought men were. So this, you know, demonization of housework, demonization of being domesticated, of, you know, the things that women would typically do, demonization of the family. We all know, you know, the kind of mantras from second wave feminism of destroy the family unit, right? This is what they thought, or at least what they portrayed, their idea of what men think, without actually asking them. So if you have no evidence for these claims and it's just based off of presumption, ultimately, it comes down to what you are projecting onto another. So men behave in a certain way, and you have projected onto that the intention, what you think it all means. So feminism and the stuff that has come from feminism, you know, the whole act like men and their evil, their animosity that has come from that, to me, is nothing but a reflection of how women are. Because for a woman to presume that men think this way is nothing but an indicator that that's how women think. And that's the big thing that feminism gets wrong. It presumes that women know how to think like men, and we don't, because we're women. We only know how to think like women. So when a woman is guessing how someone else, especially a man, thinks, it's from a female perspective. So actually, this darkness and this evil that they claim to be running from in men, and don't get me wrong, men are perfectly capable of evil, but just in this context of feminism, quite often is the darkness and the evil inside themselves. And it's a story as old as time. You know, the people who constantly go around talking about how miserable the world is, how much of a dark place it is to live. And I don't mean people in really dire circumstances. I mean most people in the West who, you know, have this, that problem or worry about this, that or the other. Really and truly, if you take a moment right now and you sit where you are and you look around, is there anything actually harming you? Because if it's something you're thinking that only exists in your mind, and if you can watch that, then just do that. There's nothing actually harming you. And this is what feminists do. They create problems in their mind. They create predictions, presumptions about what they think men think. When really, they're just projecting outwardly their own darkness. Because to presume that men are these evil, awful creatures, and to presume that men think this way, it's just an indication of what you think. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's my analysis. I think that feminism is nothing but a mirror to female nature, the dark side of female nature. And it shows you that if someone could wave a magic wand and for a day we were able to put women's minds, souls, whatever, in men's bodies, this would be the real evil patriarchy that they fear, because it's in their mind. Their idea of this evil patriarchy, it's what they would act like if they had the power. And we're seeing this now, obviously, in the aftermath of feminism and the sexual liberation movement. We're seeing this now, that when they have that power, they are far more malicious with it. They are far more, you know, trying to cause disparity between men and women. Whereas the men in power, typically, want to create a safe space for women. They don't want women to have to do the hard work. Whereas women in power, it's a very different story. It's a mirror.
And at the end of it, you're just like, you know what? Kind of regretting I didn't have a family. Because I think really what people actually want is to belong. They just want to feel like they belong somewhere. And there's nowhere more firm that you belong than with your family. And that's the tightest form of belonging. That is the nexus of the smallest unit of the little platoon, as Burke would put it, which then radiates outwards into your neighborhood, your community, and your country. And the idea that you should be like, oh yeah, I want to be taken out of that, actually. I want to be removed from that. And in fact, turn into the kind of person who can't generate that. So I end up alone and not actually having any of the things that the family brings you. That's an evil thing. This is just an evil thing that these women have done to her. And we just allowed it. We just allowed this attack on the family. By the time I was 25, clutching a degree in French and Italian, I was a bright, confident feminist, keen to flex her intellectual muscles and never let a man get the last word. What's the point? What's the point? I read Nietzsche for fun, and my bedside table is always buckled under the weight of substantial, intellectually challenging books. At first, men loved my wit and intelligence. You're such a breath of fresh air. I love talking to you. You're the first woman I've met who stimulates me. What did you learn from Nietzsche, just out of interest? I'm very curious what your takeaway from Nietzsche was. Just saying. That was until I had lectured them for the umpteenth time on the virtues of modernism. You'll never win an argument against Kate, one man said as he watched me outsmart yet another potential lover. Subtext, don't bother. Well, I mean, I could make a lot of arguments against the virtues of modernism, highlighting its vices. In fact, you are the victim of one of its vices, this eternal quest for the so-called liberation. I don't think it is liberating, actually. I think this is actually what we did to punish people. We called it exile, and now you are living in a self-imposed exile from belonging to a family.
Yeah.
What a terrible thing.
It's a brilliant way to put
Men
it.
have called me intimidating, scary, and opinionated. And I see now that I was only trying to prove I was their intellectual equal or superior. I was treating every encounter with a man like he was my adversary. Who persuaded you of that? Do you not have any thoughts about how Jermaine Gray, should you not be writing articles? Don't believe these liars. They're going to ruin your life like they ruined mine. That's what I would be writing if I were you.
Yeah.
I'd be desperately trying to warn young women. Don't do this. This is crazy. I mean, I suppose that's what this article is, but I'd be a lot more forthright about it. If a date bought me a bouquet of flowers, instead of smiling and putting them in a vase of water, I would bite the head off. Can't you buy me some nice olive oil or balsamic vinegar? I said with an eye roll to one hapless suitor as he stood wilting fast in the fragrant offering he held in his hand. He had bothered to think about making me happy, and I crushed him for it. Well, this is the thing. If you're taught that men are the enemy, well, you tend to dehumanize your enemies, right? You've decided they're just something that needs to be crushed. I placed so much importance on finding a strong man who could match me. I forgot men are people with feelings. Incredible. They might be people with feelings. Maybe we can have a scientific investigation into this. Indeed. So I'm trying not to mock, because it is nice that she's just coming out and been like, yeah, okay, you were right about everything. You were right about everything. I am trying not to mock. But it's just one of those things just like, I mean, come on. I see now that I longed to be. I forgot I had feelings and hid my softness. I now see that I longed to be loved, but I was too scared to be vulnerable. I was using my sharp mind to protect my all too soft heart against yet further rejection. Yet another thing I deeply regret is the tally of one-night stands I had when I was young.
Wow. How often is it that we hear that?
Yeah, this again. It could be written. If this was found on Reddit, you'd be like, this isn't real.
Yeah.
Someone has made this up. Someone is faking being an old woman who regrets. And that's the thing, though. Like, actually, it is tempting to fall into a defensive posture, right? Like, when you get your heart broken, everyone remembers the first time they had their heart broken. And it's very painful. Because you think you have something magical with someone that can't ever be found again. And then that gets pierced, and that's a very painful thing. Very painful. And it's difficult not to become cynical. And if you have a fully fledged philosophy that can tell you why you can basically be cynical about this, well, I can see why someone would lean into it. Anyway, she says, I regret my tally of one-night stands when I was younger. I distinctly remember thinking it would make me uncool to say no to the men I met at parties or dated, but I struggled to enjoy it. What a shock. There was always a disconnect. It was abundantly clear the morning after, as I lay there waiting for a sign of affection, that he would be singingly triumphant, had her sung in the shower, a quick cheerio, and he was gone. While I pretended to enjoy it, I felt uncomfortable about sex so early on. I felt empty and used. Now, this is incredible. That's what it is. It's incredible. It's incredible that a woman is speaking so real. She's speaking so honestly and genuinely. And I'm so grateful to read this. I'm so grateful to it. I've had it with hearing from these women really trying to insist that their life of degeneracy, they're happy with it, when it's so obvious they're not, because especially as a woman, if you are a woman, you understand there is nothing about that kind of lifestyle that could possibly make you happy, because we are, we have our dark side, but we are also very soft, and we just want to feel safe and have that sense of belonging and feel safe and protected. And yeah, no kind of life like that could make you feel good. And every woman inside knows this to be true, but any woman with an ounce of honesty will outwardly admit, yeah, that's true. So for someone to have gone a full 180 and probably be on the side of, yeah, I enjoy it, I'm happy, everything's fine, and just be so utterly fake to then come with this truth, I think is incredibly brave.
And yeah, I love this. I really do. I think it's great. I mean, yeah, she should have realized it sooner. Yeah, she made a choice. She's, made her bed, lie in it kind of thing. But as a young woman, youngish, oh my gosh, I'm 25 now, but, as a woman who's not midlife yet, I really appreciate this because it makes me look to younger women like 18, 19, and I think, you know what, maybe there's some truth out there for you. Maybe there's more older women. Because it's like, I can say to an 18-year-old all I want, like, hey, you shouldn't live like that. But they're just going to look at me and go, well, why not? Like, you don't really know what you're doing either. You're only 25, da, 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 da. Whereas a woman who is past it, right, saying this kind of stuff, it's going to have such a bigger effect. Obviously, I'm just speaking from the perspective of women. I don't know what this means for you guys, but it's probably why he's struggling to mock, because it's kind of a gotcha moment. It's kind of a we told you so. But as a woman, this is it's very nice to hear. I mean, it's not nice for her, but it's nice to hear someone being so real and so soft about it. There's a vulnerability to how honest she's being, and I like that. I resonate with that as a woman.
A kind of attitude that the feminists of her generation have transmitted just to young women now of this generation. And I've read lots of accounts, and I've seen like TikTok videos of young women being like, I don't know why he's not calling me back. I let him do anal on the first date. It's like, why would you think that's appropriate? Like, why would you think that was a good idea?
I've not seen these TikToks, my gosh.
Why would he call you back? Like, this is like, it is mad how this kind of act like a gay man has been transmitted to a certain percentage of women in older generations, and is just kind of normal for a lot of women now. And they wonder why they're not getting what they want. It's like, well, all I'm saying, right, is that we are going to have a return to tradition, right? We are going to have a return to the old roles of the men and women, right? That's going to come in some way, whether we choose it or not. Because frankly, I don't think feminism is going to survive the economic collapse, the demographic collapse it's caused. So we're going to get it in some way or another. And it would be better to just have it voluntarily. Yeah. It'd be better if we were like, yeah, actually, women should have morals when it comes to sexual availability, and men should be told no. Basically, men should have to work for it. Men should have to commit to a woman before they get to this point. And that will just be better for everyone. That absolutely will be better for everyone. And this is what she is telling us. This is what she is telling us. All of this modern feminist nonsense, this was bad for the people involved, for her, for her future. This was not good. I mean, look at this. My generation of women were encouraged to have sex like a man. In other words, have casual sex, but it backfired. Fast forward to now, the idea that women are different from men and that casual sex can be harmful to us is gaining traction. And she cites Louise Perry, who has been doing a great job on this and is also right. It's obviously correct that it's not good for women's psyches. But moreover, it's not good for men either. Right? This is deformed the dating market. Having apps that are just hookup apps so that a very small percentage of men have sex with lots of different women and loads of men basically never have relationships is not good for anyone. Right? This is not good, and we shouldn't be doing it. And this is what's ruining things. She informs us that Louise Perry thinks that casual sex, dating apps, pornography, and the normalization of sexual kinks are putting women at risk, and she believes that society would benefit from returning to traditional values about sex. And how is she wrong? You are the example. You are literally telling us here that actually, yeah, this was all a big mistake and we shouldn't have done it. We should have been more cautious about changing such a fundamental way in which men and women interact, because there were going to be consequences to that. And she's now stuck with the consequences. What can she do? This is what she is trapped with, and she's trapped in. But she says, don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating a return to the 1950s. Why not?
Yeah.
Women were happier in the 1950s. 60-year-old women had husbands in the 1950s. Like, this is not a bad way to live. Like, I'm just saying. Like, my nan was a very happy woman. She was married for both my nans, married their entire lives, and happy women. Anyway, she says, don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating a return to the 1950s when women were on the shelf by 30 and getting a suitable husband was their goal in life. Well, I just don't see why getting a suitable husband isn't a good goal in life.
It's the most important thing because you're with that person every day and you're raising children with that person. Like the idea of, I need to find someone that is this, that, or the other for me is absolutely absurd if you want children. No, you're choosing your children's father. You're choosing the person you're going to parent with. You're choosing family. You're not just choosing someone to sleep with. It is the most important decision in your life. If that's the life that you wish to have, you want family, you want belonging, it is the most important choice in your life.
And for men, getting a suitable wife is a good goal in life. And I've seen loads of people posting about this. I saw Chris Williamson of Modern Wisdom tweeting about this the other day, saying, look, think about the way that she is and not just how hot she is, which, okay, yeah, true. But even then, that's still missing the point. Like, you should be looking for that person with whom you can create a shared piece of magic, with whom the story that you build together is your own collectively. This person whom to you is this unique and magical thing in the world going forward. That's truly what romance is. Like the problem that Chris has with what he's saying there is it's still analytic, right? He's still not speaking from the heart. Like, he needs to think about who was that woman who he still thinks of all these years later. You know, who was that one woman? And is she available? You know, that's the woman that he should be romancing, rather than looking at things through a kind of utilitarian lens. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, it'd be very useful. You found someone that was very nice and you liked them. They were the person that you were romantically for. But it's really got to be built on what, in a cliche, I'm going to say, is just called love, rather than what is practically useful. You have to genuinely love that person. And the thing is, you'll change yourself for that person. You'll want to do those things that they want because you love them. Anyway, she says, I wonder if by refusing to show any chinks in my intellectual armour, I'm the one who's losing out. It's like, you clearly are, which is why you're writing this article. Whilst I will never be a gigly man-pleaser and have no intention of playing second fiddle to a man, the confidence signals I've been giving out all these years were at odds with what was going on inside. Well, have you considered that actually it's not wrong to play second fiddle to a man because you are a woman and you do different things to a man? Like, you're still in the feminist frame of, hang on a second, I still have to be the one in charge. Now, I mean, at 63, I imagine that makes your dating life a little bit more difficult, but you haven't changed. I've learned to step back and let things go. I've realised things mustn't always veer towards the satisfaction of the self. I'm struck by how easy and peaceful it is to let my date's boyfriends take the lead. It is not a case of dumbing down or morphing into a Stepford woman. Again, what would be wrong with that? But simply dialing down a bit of me and letting them shine. FYI, my diary's wide open. Like, go on, I dare you. Yeah, I bet it is. But isn't that interesting as well? Because that's another genre of TikTok video.
Look, we all know she's probably not having much success. That's just unfortunately the nature of reality. But I have to say that after coming to all of these realizations, having been through the man-hating, not me, but her, having been through the man-hating and coming out the other side and being, left with this immense form of regret, I must say that I really do admire the fact that she still has hope, that she's still willing to date. Now, I'm not under any illusion of, probably not going to work, and definitely not with how she ended. Go on, I dare you. It's like, okay, so you've just said all of this and then you've reverted back to your default mode. But beside the point, I've said this before and I'll say it again, there is something immensely inspiring about people who have been stung, but then willingly open up the wound again. Willingly say, this hurt me before, I've made some bad choices, but I'm still going to strive forward with hope. I don't know. There's something really human about that to me. Like, it's because it's utterly insane, isn't it? You know, if you think about it logically, you've been hurt by something before, and something has hurt you in such a way that, you know, a normal reaction if you get burnt by something is, oh, I'm not going to touch that again. Right? That's a logical response. But there's something about humans, and especially with regard to love, that many of us, despite being hurt, will say, that hurt, but let's give it another go. You know, not in a bad situation where, you know, you really shouldn't go back there, but I mean just with love in general. Okay, this time I got hurt, but there's something so worth it that I'm willing to maybe get hurt again. I don't know. Perhaps Nietzsche would say that is just, yeah, utterly insane, psychotic, and there's no point to any of it. But that does something for me. That creates like a little sparkle in me. I think there's something really beautiful about people who've been hurt, and the fire of refusing to harden to life, but continuing to be soft, letting it flow, to get all hippie.
I've seen where, you know, it's women walking around with their boyfriends. They're like, I get to turn my brain off and just, you know, just go around in this little happy days because I've got my boyfriend with me and he'll take care of difficult things. And it's like, that's a lot of what men are for, is that, by the way. So and again, I covered this the other day. Women are feeling anxious and stressed because they are taking upon their own shoulders the burden of being not only breadwinners, but also the kind of navigators of their own lives on their own. And it's like, okay, well, that didn't have to be the case. And as she says here, I'm struck by how easy and peaceful it feels to let my dates and boyfriends take the lead. There is a natural way that the world works for a reason. Nature has designed us for specific roles. It has crafted us to find satisfaction in these things and to be at peace when we're doing these things. A man is never happier than when he is providing for his family. Just saying. Literally, every man who's married and has to make sure that the food's on the table at the end of the day, the rent is paid and the mortgage is paid, and that everything is done how it ought to be done, gets up happily in the morning to go and earn the money to do it. Every man. Even if he hates his job, he's like, no, I need to do this. You know, I need to do it for them. That's how he shows his love. And you can show your love by doing things that women do. And you can say, well, this is just very traditional. It's like, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is very traditional, but it's good for us and it works.
It works. That's what I was going to end with. It works. What do you think? Do you think that, you know, we live in a world where people should just do what they want? Or do you think we should have some kind of, you know, social shift towards more traditional roles? Now, obviously everyone can do what they want, but I mean, you know, in the public sphere right now, on a societal level, it's kind of pushed that gender norms and traditional roles are somewhat bad. Do you think there should be more of an encouragement to return to those traditional roles? I certainly think so, but that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comment section below? As always, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up on your way out. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you keep up to date with all of my content. And if you have a video for me to react to, you can send it over to me on christinegracesmith@outlook.com. And if you'd like to become a member of my community, you can do that right here on YouTube or send a donation to the channel via the link in the description at buymeacoffee.com. And on that note, I will see you very soon, guys, in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.